There have been a few calls that we received from people that are stuck in the maze. Eventually they'll find their way out there.
When most people think of fall, they think of the changing leaves, pumpkins, and spice lattes. It's a fun and beautiful time of the year, and to help with that seasonal fun is a form of entertainment exclusive to this time of year. On this episode, we'll be taking a look at Stickley Farm and their corn maze. Here's Nicholas Stickley to tell us more.
Okay, so I believe my great-grandparents purchased this in 1939. So it's been in the family since then, and my brothers and I will be the fourth generation. But pretty much since the inception, it was a dairy farm for the bulk of its life, and we had a couple of contract crops here and there, and then in the late 90s through 2000, or the early 90s through 2000, we grew tobacco. And we probably ceased the dairy operation in the early 90s. I want to say by the year 2000 we had gotten out of the tobacco business, and so a lot of I was going off to school, my brother did too, and there just wasn't any activity on the farm, and so it was something that it was kind of disappointing to us because we grew up on the farm and we loved, it has a certain energy to it when it's in operation. And so we kind of wanted to bring it back. We weren't sure how to do it. We tossed around different ideas. We thought about maybe getting a little small herd of beef cattle in here. And but ultimately in 2005, I want to say, my dad brought the idea to my brothers and I that somebody he knew had started a corn maze on his property, and we just really liked the idea. We're all kind of a fun-loving bunch. And we wanted to do something that the public could come to, because as you know, just farms is one of those things that are just disappearing all the time. The small family farm, and so we want to create something where people of multiple generations could come and experience what farm life was like, and just have a good time. The corn, a lot of it's leased acreage. My uncle, he grows about 100 acres of his own corn in the middle section of the farm. So in terms of what we do currently, it's primarily the agritourism business. We knew the maze design process was probably above our pay grade, so the process started to find somebody that could do that. We had 2 or 3 different maze design companies, kind of narrowed down to. We went with one outfit because we thought they were the most sophisticated. And so what they do is we kind of think up a design. And typically we like to think of something that's topical or like an anniversary or something like that. And we go back and forth until we get a design that we like. And then in August, the guy who cuts it comes out. And so he comes and he brings a tractor, sometimes 2 tractors, and he has a satellite GPS module on his tractor, and he just basically cuts the cornfield, like he tills it down. So it's, in that regard, it's a pretty simple process. It takes about 6 to 8 hours. And sometimes he comes when the corn's this tall, so he can't even see where he's going. So every year we do take an aerial, and before the drones expanded in popularity, we used to have an airplane that would come by and take an aerial photograph. So every year we have done that just to make sure it did turn out all right. And people like to see it, I think. So typically we like to kind of get a little space behind us because it's a pretty stressful, even though it's fun, it is kind of a stressful time. But once the season ends, pretty shortly after the new year, we'll start talking about what we're going to do. Everybody kind of tosses in their idea what they think might be a cool maze, and just whatever seems to have the most support, we end up doing. Of course, it's an election year, and I think it's just a good reminder that we do have the privilege in this country to go vote, and it's something that we may even take for granted, and not everybody got to vote. And so 100 years ago was the anniversary of, or 100 years ago, they passed the 19th Amendment and you know, gave women the right to vote. We just thought that was a kind of important reminder about, you know, just how much of a privilege it is to be able to do that. We're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday from 6 to 11, Saturday from noon to 11, and Sunday from 1 to 6 p.m. So we sell these little things we call passports, and that basically your maze, and it also has a little site map for you. And so the objective here is to find checkpoints. And that's kind of the main game with the maze. And there's 12 scattered throughout, and there's really 2 mazes, 6 in each one. And so basically you'll take your map and you'll work your way through, and when you come to a checkpoint, you'll get to notch that out of your punch card because there's a hole punch attached to the checkpoint. So that's kind of the main game. Now we have a couple of others. We have a game for the children, which is essentially they take a little piece of paper and get to make an etching of a little hoof print medallion on top of those checkpoints. And so it's not so much a navigational thing, but it's cool when they find one, they get to make a little souvenir for themselves. We also have another game that's kind of a whodunit called Farm Scene Investigation. And then we have a treasure hunt, which involves a scratch ticket, kind of like playing the lottery. You try to see how many points that you can get. There have been a few calls that we've received from people that are stuck in the maze. Eventually they'll find their way out there. We bring inflatables in. We have a little petting zoo. We have the corn mazes, of course. We do little recreational activities. We have a hay ride. On Saturday nights, we'll do some karaoke on the stage. We do the haunted attractions on the weekends, which are pretty popular. So it's a pretty full day when you come, especially if you come early and you end up staying through the night and do the haunted attractions. When we first started, we did have it behind us here, but we've kind of separated the operations because some people don't like the haunted stuff, and so we don't want them to have to be exposed to it if they don't want to. So we actually took basically our old milk house and you know, our old cattle barn up there. And on that section of the property is where we do the haunted. About 8-9 years ago, we decided to do our own food. And I think this year we're going to do a limited menu just because of everything that's going on. We're trying to streamline the kitchen. But in the past, I mean, we've had hamburgers, nachos, corn dogs, pizza. We have these things called fry cakes, which are essentially kind of takes inspiration from the funnel cake that people just love. But hot chocolate, we do a pumpkin spice latte sometimes. So yeah, it's pretty solid menu. In terms of getting ready, it's a much smaller crew, but it's almost an all-year process in terms of just coming up with the idea, you know, deciding if we're going to build some new attractions that year. But you know, I would definitely say from April or May on, it becomes, you know, more serious. We definitely have to get people on the ground to get the place ready. But when we're in season, you know, there could be as many as 100 people here on a Saturday night working. Well, it's really interesting. You know, it's we don't really have a core demographic because it's sort of so in the daytime, you know, you're going to have your young families or just anybody that wants a challenge to come in and kind of do the maze. At nighttime, I'd say it's middle school is probably the primary audience. Seems to be middle school, high school, some young college students. But yeah, you just see all ages. I mean, you see them from babies in arms until, you know, 89, 90 years old. I mean, one time we had a 93-year-old do the zip line back here. The biggest crowd we ever had for a night, I think, was just over 900 on a Saturday night. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So it looks like a whole little city over here.